going to do is go to the folder that has all the data sets in it. Okay? And you're going to see a whole bunch of different files. Did Jackie do the other one?
This one?
Yeah. And if you notice, there's information here. Tableau does different things with data, the way it captures data. It does the extension TWB means Tableau Workbook. Basically, if it says TBX, that is a packaged Tableau Workbook. The difference being, if I sent you the core data set as a Tableau Workbook, you'd be able to get it, but you don't have the data. It does not attach the data to it. Mm-hmm. If I send it as a package set with the TWBX, it puts the data with it as well. Now, if you notice, the icon is different. The icon on one that does not have the package data is basically the Tableau icon. The one that does have, I'll take that out in a second. The one that does have the Tableau is
the stars with the ribbon.
Stars with the ribbon.
On the left.
I'm having a computer problem on one of these computers, so. Okay. Okay, so basically, everybody should double-click on the FAF Tableau TWBX file. Double-click on it, and it'll put you into Tableau software. You're already there. Okay. Oh, this is the core one. Okay, now let me explain to you what this particular file is regarding Tableau and the FAF. The complete FAF is almost 2 gigs and takes a while to run. Mm-hmm. So I made a very small cut of Missouri for the year 2012 and the year 2013. The reason being, all the same file structures are in place. There's no change in the file structure. There's no change in anything. The only thing that's limited is the actual information about all the states. And it was simply a matter of creating a small data set that could be accessed and used quickly so that you can come up to speed with what Tableau is, as opposed to waiting, for a 2 gig file to load. It's a pretty massive file. So basically, what we're going to do in your lower right-hand corner, there are some icons. There's one icon that is a box with a plus. That's the new worksheet. There's one with 4 boxes with the plus. That's a dashboard. And there's one with a book with a plus, which is a story. Click on the new worksheet, which is, again, the single box with a plus sign. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to create a worksheet. So go to SCTG, and if you look at it in the right-hand corner, there's a small arrow. Click on that, and we're just going to take commodity description, and we're going to drag that over to a row. So a row. And you can either, no. You have to click on the little arrow. You have to click on the little arrow, then you can drag it to the row, or you could have dragged it onto the sheet itself as into the row column. So now we have a chart, and everybody should have a chart that says commodity description, and everything should be A, B, C on the side. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to measures on the left-hand side, on the lower side, and we're going to take tons. And we're going to drag tons over and put it where it says ABC. Just drag it to where it says ABC. It'll highlight it and drop it. And now we have a table. So,
hold on.
Table, I'm sorry?
You said you went to measures and went where again? I'm sorry?
The measures, you just take tons and drag it on top of the ABC.
Okay.
Okay.
Where's the ABC?
The ABCs in the table, it's going to say commodity description.
Yeah.
And then there's an ABC next to it.
Whatever. All right.
Because there's nothing in that table. It's blank. So you're going to put a metric in, a measure in there. You got it now?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let me explain. Earlier, remember how I said Tableau moves from left to right? If you look at the left-hand column, it has data that's highlighted, but this is basically all the information that's available to you in this worksheet. So dimensions are categories. They think of them as describing the bucket, and we can talk about all that in just a second. Measures are what you put in the bucket. They're the things you want to count. They're the things you want to know. They're the numbers. So when you're building the data set, you have to be very cognizant of what elements you actually want to be able to do computational work on and what elements you want to be descriptive. Now you can use the dimensions as calculated fields, and you can use them and create things earlier, which I did with the group. But basically, if we go to the commodity, we have sheet 17 or sheet whatever you have, and we have a commodity description, and we have a flow. Now, if you go all the way up to the top of the dimensions, go all the way up, and click on the FAF Tableau CSV, and you see something called year. Go down to year, drag year on top to the columns row. Okay, now you should have two columns. Now, one thing about Tableau is you will hear me call something a pill sometimes. Anything that's in the box, see how it says year, commodity description, or the sum of tons? Tableau will call that a pill because it looks like a capsule. Maybe they're all drug-induced, I don't know. But it's pills. Better living through chemistry, I don't know. So anyway, so now we have a chart. So this is the commodities that moved into and out of Missouri in the year 2012 and the year 2013. And you got to go, wait. I want to know what's moving in or out. So what we do is we go to trade type, which is already open, and drag trade type into filters. Actually, just drag it into the rows. Drag it into rows. And now you can see how much of it was domestic or exports. So we can look at alcohol and say, okay, the most of the alcohol that's moving to and from Missouri is from the United States. They export some alcohol and they import some alcohol. They actually import more alcohol than they export. I guess they're all drinking Molson beer. I don't know what it is. So this cut gives me a cut that focuses on the commodity. And I say, wait, I'd rather look at the trade. I like this chart, but I want to look at it in a different way. So what Jackie's going to do is she's going to go all the way to the lower right-hand corner to where it says sheet 17. Now she's going to hit the right mouse button, and it's going to give her an option to duplicate the sheet. So duplicate the sheet. Now, if you notice, sheet 18 is the same thing as sheet 17. But what you're going to do now is you're going to take trade type and drag it in front of commodity description. You could have just done it up in the, just move the pill in front of the other pill. And now, hit the back button, Carlos. Now just take the trade type pill and drag it in front of this pill. It's going to give you a little orange, no, not directly on top of it. It's going to give you an orange button. And look for the orange button. So now you can say, I can have a breakout of what things move domestically. If you go down, what moves as an import and what moves as an export to the state of Missouri. So what I did is I built a basic chart, added a few characteristics, but I said, you know what, I want to have another chart that looks at the same dimensions, but looking at domestic versus exports versus imports. So a lot of times you will find a chart that you like. You can drag value over to it as well. But I'm just going to give Carlos an example. Carlos took the value and he drug it into the rows column. Well, what that did is he created another row. So hit the back button, Carlos. Back button again, and I'll just take the tons of the value and drop it. Take the value pill right there and just drop it into this right here, this area. And now you have tons and value. So what Carlos did is he took the value pill and he just simply dropped it in the actual highlighted numbers, and now he has two columns. So you can look at value, you can look at tons. Now I can go back to sheet 17, and I can take the value pill there and drop it into that show me, and now I have tons and value on that table as well. So the thing that makes Tableau very interesting is you can simply just drag and drop to your heart's content, and before you know it, you're going, where did the rabbit hole begin, or where did the rabbit hole begin? But you've got all these great visualizations. Now let's get back to the original sheet 17. And does everybody have the sheet that's on the screen now? Was everyone able to duplicate the sheet?
Go ahead.
Okay. So basically, now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the show me. In the upper right-hand side, it says show me. Click on the show me, and you notice it tells you what graphs could be used to examine this data. So just click all you want, and but before you start clicking, I want you to literally click on all of them. But as you're clicking, notice it will change the middle column. The column that says pagers and filters and marks, that will change as you change the graphic display. Because you built the data, but if you're changing the way it displays, Tableau will make assumptions how to best present that data. So just be aware, as you start clicking through all of them, you may see some changes in the actual data in that middle page. So just keep clicking. Click, 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 click. I'm going to let you just click for 5 minutes. You cannot click on the map because there's no geographic elements on this one. That's why I was trying to explain with the football thing, the geographic. And it'll, I know. I don't know what, you can change all these bubbles. You can customize them all and make them yellow and green. Okay, has everybody clicked around and got an understanding of how all these different charts look?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's go to another page. We're going to go to a new worksheet. Go to the lower left-hand corner, right-hand corner. We're going to click on that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to dimensions. And if you notice, there is something called go down
to what?
Not that one. Let's go down some more. Let's go down to the domestic. Okay, so now we have domestic regions. And we're just going to grab the FAF domestic origin and just drag that into the row. Okay, what you're seeing here is all of the FAF zones that have a shipment that had an origin in Missouri. Okay, just because I know what the data is. So what we do is we say, okay, well, this is interesting. So now I come back and I take the tons and I drag that in where the ABC is. And I take the value and I drag that in where the ABC is. The value is in the measures box. The measures box, because the value is the real data. And drop it in here. So now I have tons and value. And so I want to do a sort off of which is the destination for stuff from Missouri. So I click on tons. I click on the heading of tons. There'll be a sort button in the right-hand side, and I just click sort. And so just go to the sort. There's going to be a sort up or sort down in right there. That's sorting ascending. Or you could sort it the other way. Click back on it. There. So the largest volume of movement for Missouri is moving into Missouri. Then the second largest is moving into St. Louis, Kansas City, because the FAF breaks out Missouri into 3 different zones: St. Louis, Kansas City, rest of Missouri. And then you go down, Illinois, rest of Illinois, again, that's St. Louis, St. Charles, that's the Illinois part of it, Virginia Beach, and that's coal shipments. I mean, so the idea is you can look at these trade patterns. And so I can just do a click. So for instance, if I say, well, I want to know what is moving between Missouri and Arkansas, I click on the remainder of Arkansas. I keep that one only. Keep only. So you click on it. It's going to give you an option to keep only. So you should only have one row now in your record. So what you do is you go back to your commodity, the commodity description we used earlier, as a dimension, go all the way to the left to the dimension called SCTG. There's a thing called commodity description, and just drag that into the row. And yeah, so now you're peeled. So now you have what the commodities are. So you can do a sort here to see what is the largest commodity. The same thing, you do the sort. So it's cereal grains. So basically you can build a table restricted to one element and focus on that one element. And because if you notice, when I did that filter for Arkansas, it put a filter in the middle column under filters. So if you go to the FAF description, the filters panel, that's in the second panel in the middle, and just note, don't hit that yet, Carlos. Just go to the FAF domestic panel, go down. The blue peel that says FAF domestic in the filters box. In the filters box, just click on that, and then right click, edit the filter, and it'll show you can change it. So if you want to add Arkansas and Louisiana, you could come here, you can add Arkansas, and then you could add all the Louisiana pieces here, Lake Charles, Baton Rouge, rest of Louisiana, whatever. The remainder of Louisiana is mostly North Louisiana. So now you have two elements here. So what you did is you took the first data set, filtered it, and then you changed the filter. So the thing that has value for Tableau is you will use the filters a lot. And we will learn to do, and we'll work on some calculated fields. So let's get back and actually explain. Well, let's do this. Is there something that somebody wants to see from Missouri if we were going to do a chart right now? Hello?
I'm here.
Just give me, I mean, I know there's some Missouri people on the call. Is there something you want to see in Missouri? The show me state without anything to show? Okay. Okay, we're going to go to sheet 19. Just cancel that. That's okay.
Go back, switch to Louisiana.
Yeah, we're just going to go. We're going to create a new sheet. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at mode. So go up to the FAF, the very top FAF Tableau. Drag domestic mode into the row. That's just always the way I build my data sets. Is I always put, the first thing I do is I put something in a row, and then I always put tons as a measure, or ton miles. It doesn't make any difference. I always put it in, not as that dimension. I always put something in the marks, right there. It's just the way I always, whenever I do anything in Tableau, the first thing I do is I always put what's the most dependent metric I want and what's the thing I'm focusing on. Because now I can start thinking visually, what do I want to display, how do I want to display it. I know I had year. So I take year and I drag year, either as a column or row, depending on how you like to do things. So now I should have a chart that should say air by year.
Okay.
Does everybody have that?
Yep.
Learning a cool software program.
Well, it's one of those things you just got to, I hated to say this, you just got to kind of beat on it a little bit, you know. Beat it into,
I
probably like it.
huh?
I got a question, Bruce.
Yes.
And maybe for later you could maybe explain this a little bit more. But how did you take the FAF data and break it up into that little piece that you were talking about earlier, just for Missouri?
Well, do you really want to see the 2-day process it takes to make the FAF data fit into Tableau? Or
I mean,
let me explain it to you.
If that's another story, that's another story. I don't want to throw you off.
I'll get to it in just a second, because when we actually talk about the data source, a lot of the elements that I'm talking about, I have to explain to you or it won't make any sense. So I will explain it once we kind of get everybody up to date on this.
Right.
So we have domestic mode. Now, what would you like to know about the modes for Missouri? You want to know which modes move by what markets? You want to know which modes move what commodities? You want to know which modes do what? What do you want to know? Were they inbound, outbound, what? Tell me, give me something. What would you like to know about modes in the state of Missouri?
Pipelines.
Oh, well, pipelines, okay, we click on pipeline, so we're just going to go to pipeline. Go to the pipe in the sheet 20, we go to pipeline. We're going to go to the pipeline line, and we're going to just click on that, we're going to keep that one only. Okay, now what do you want to know about pipeline? You want to know what commodity it moves? You want to know where it goes?
Types of commodities that run through it.
Okay, so we go up to, the commodity code that we mentioned earlier. Go back up to basically, we're going to go to the SCTG2, and we're going to go to the commodity description, and we're just going to drag that in to the rows. Yes. And so it's on your row line, and now you can see it's mostly crude petroleum, some fertilizers, fuel oils, and other coal and petroleum.
You can drag values.
And you can drag values to it. And what else would you like to know about pipelines? You want to know how much of it goes within the state and how much leaves the state? There's a field called interstate. Huh? There's a field called interstate, and just click that and put that somewhere in the chart. Okay? And I'll explain what that field is, but basically, the way you had, because as I mentioned earlier, I was mentioning there's flow data sets and there's non-flow data sets, and you have to be very careful on flow data sets. You can get double counting real quick if I add the inbound for the state of Missouri with the outbound for the state of Missouri, because there's intrastate flows. So you start getting all these double countings. So you have to handle that in the data structure, or you just start getting again multiples in the data. So I created a field called inter versus interstate, so that I can help manage some of those flows. So anyway, so basically if you look at it, now what we want to know, if we take intrastate, we just drag it in front, we take the intrastate pill, and we drag it in front of domestic mode. Now we can see which modes tend to move mostly within the state, which ones come into or out of the state. So basically within the state, most of the pipeline flows are not staying within the state of Missouri, they're coming in or out. Now we don't know where if they're coming in, or we don't know if they're coming out, because we haven't done anything like that. And Carlos is getting really excited. He's dragging the route state to state, which is the next thing we were going to do. So there's a field called route state to state, and drag that somewhere in the box, just somewhere in your table. And now you see what are the flows. So now you can see it's an interstate move. It's Arkansas to Missouri by pipeline. It's other crude or petroleum. So you can do it by. So now you have a table that shows this is the flows for pipeline to and from Missouri from what markets.
All right.
Is there some for cities?
I didn't do the cities yet because I just, frankly, forgot to do it. No, I think I did do the FAF. I think I did do the FAF, intra-FAF zones. I can't remember. No, I didn't. I'll have to add that one. I thought I did. I mean, I'll do the calculation. You don't have to. I mean, it's not that big a calculation, but I'll add it, and that way everybody has it. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do is we're going to open up another sheet. Okay, another question about Missouri. What would you like to know?
So let's talk about commodity flows.
Well, we go back to sheet 17. That was the one where we did the commodity flows. Now we can modify that sheet more. Let's do this. Let's just go to another sheet. We're going to create a new worksheet. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to do foreign import country. Go up. It's under the FAF dimension, foreign import country, and just drag that somewhere. The way that FAF handles trade is, this is imports to Missouri from these countries. Now, Canada and Mexico are treated as countries. The rest of the world are treated as trade blocks, which is why it's hard to do the geography on this one, because all of America is going to be one color, and so I didn't bother geocoding all those, because I didn't think it would add a whole bunch of value. But basically, the null is the domestic traffic, because obviously it's in the data set as an inbound move, but it's domestic. Okay. So we're going to take the null out. So we go to null, and we're going to right-click on it, and we're going to exclude. Now you notice, again, it added to the filter as an exclusion, but now we have tons and value. Now remember, we have year. So we have to ask, well, do we want to have it total for 2012 and 2013? Or not. So we're just going to drag year, and we're going to drag year up somewhere. Not there. I normally just drag it up to the actual column box. So now, that's okay, Carlos. So now we have a table that says foreign imports, Africa, tons and value. And then the question we have now is, okay, well, that's great. But where did they come into the United States? For instance, it's an inbound move to Missouri. It means it cleared customs somewhere. So if you go back down to stop, Carlos. This is domestic.
Off value.
Huh?
I took off value.
Yeah, no, I'm just sitting there trying to remember where I didn't actually add that one to it. Foreign. So it's a state. So it's right here. No, it's a null. Okay, the FAF data set I'm clicking on, it has something called, I must have removed that one. No, it's there. Oh, okay. There's a field in the FAF that you actually would link, and I thought that I had put that linkage in this version, but I did not. But basically, you have an inbound flow, and it will clear in the United States somewhere to get to that state. And I'm just trying to remember what field that is. EA base, foreign bound, domestic. So I have to jump short. Inbound. Okay, it's destination state. Okay. I'm sorry, it's one of those little anomalies in the way the FAF handles things. Is basically, on an inbound or an outbound shipment, the origin state is actually the state it cleared customs. But if you're doing a domestic flow, it's the origin of the state upon which the shipment occurred. So I had to step back to remember what was the right sequence. So if you take the FAF domestic origin and drop it in, FAF domestic origin is under one of the regional codes, and drop it into the table, it'll show you what state the trade flowed through. For instance, Africa. There's a lot of zeros in this data set. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to tons. We're going to hit the right mouse button, and we're going to do format. No, that's not right. There's somewhere where I did the filter.
Did I not have tons on? I thought I did.
No, there's a filter for all these little bitty zeros you want to take out. If I remember where that filter.
I'm missing range of value, and we made it only show one.
Range of values. I remember how I got to that.
If you right-click the sum tons filter.
Oh, okay. We're in over here.
And do just filter.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Just go ahead. Okay. Basically, it's one of those things we were doing yesterday. I just got a brain fart. So basically, what we're doing is we're filtering out all the little zeros. There was a value, but the value is insignificant, so it doesn't really make any difference. Just save us conceptually some space. And so it cleans it up. Okay.
I applied in, okay.
So now basically we have a chart that is easier to read.
Hold on, Bruce. You went to edit filter on sometimes, and then what?
And it's just going to edit filter, and you're going to do range of values.
Yeah.
Range of values, and just make sure that it says 0, just make that a 1.
Got it.
And that would just show everything that's, significantly will show up and gets rid of all your zeros.
Got it.
And so now you can see, kind of where things moved. And the thing about domestic origin is we do have the flow, the mode. So you can click on, like for instance, let's go to Canada. Let's just select Canada so we can keep Canada only. Okay, and now we're going to go to the dimension bar, to the left-hand side, all the way to the dimension. And there's a thing that's called foreign inbound mode. And you just drag that over and put it into the chart. And now it tells you what modes, what mode was used to ship that import into the state of Missouri.
Wow. Learning is occurring.
I like that. So the thing is you can look at all these flows and how they're structured. And if you want to focus one on pipeline, you can. You can just simply put a filter. You can do the commodities. You can just keep adding it and that type of stuff. Right. So now let's go back through the data source, because all the way to the lower left-hand side is something called data source. Click on data source. Now remember when we were using the NFL very small data set, what I have is I have built this data set in Tableau, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk through this.
All right.
Basically, in the upper left-hand side, there'll be something called connections.
Got it.
There are two files listed under connections, FAF Tableau and FAF 4 codes. Now, if you click on FAF Tableau, it'll only show up as FAF Tableau CSV. And if you click on the FAF 4 codes, you'll see it'll change, and now it has other things listed. Because, now let's go to the FAF 4 Tableau. So click on that one. And what we're going to do is to go back to that shaded FAF 4 Tableau and just let your mouse rest on it, and you're going to see the little diamond pointing down arrow. Click on that. We're going to do edit connection. Okay, now you should see the folder upon which the file is in. I want you to open the file in Excel. I use some different CSV. Actually, I use 3 different CSV editors, so courses for courses. So open it up in Excel. And so you can see this is the data from the FAF in Excel. So right there, click on Edit Connection. Just double click. Oh, here.
And do open with.
Okay. Now remember I mentioned cleaning up data and things of that nature? If you know that you have a data problem or something needs to be fixed, you can always go back to the native data and fix it. Or if you want to add some variables to it, or you want to clean up the headings or whatever, this is where you would do that. Now let's walk through each of these fields. We have year. And now I have 97 to 2045 all coded on the FAF. There's a forecast. Go up. This data set doesn't have everything, but I'm explaining what it is. The forecast, there's a base forecast, there's a high optimistic forecast, and a low pessimistic forecast. Foreign import is what we discussed, where it came from. Domestic origin is, again, all these are FAF codes, where the shipment began to originate. If you notice, it says 292, that's the Kansas City, because everything from Missouri starts with a 29. Domestic origin is where is it going, foreign destination for an export. So you notice there's a lot of nulls in this data set because it's describing a lot of different data that's not going to be in all the data sets. So when you're doing the work, just remember that there will be nulls. So then we have a domestic mode, which is how FAF reports it. We have the foreign outbound mode, domestic inbound mode. The SCTG is the commodity code. Trade type describes whether it's domestic, international import, or international export. And there's tons, and there's value, and there's ton miles, and there's a current value. Now, one of the things they do not have in FAF 4.4, but was in 4.3, was a distance table, which I'm going to add once I finish FAF 4.3 as a calculated field. So if you want to look at all the flows that are under 500 miles or whatever, you could do that in FAF 4.3, but you can't do it in FAF 4.4. I don't know why they dropped it. I yelled at Chester and he told me to fix it. So that's the data. So just hit X and close it out. And just close this out again. Don't save anything. Just hit cancel. Okay, now let's go to FAF codes. Click on it. We're going to do the same thing. Do the little down arrow. We're going to edit connection. Now you're going to open this in Excel, and we're going to talk through this file. Open with Excel. Does everybody have the FAF 4 codes opened up?
Hold on. I go back to it. I clicked on the wrong thing. Got it.
Okay. Now let's go all the way on the bottom. There's some, remember I mentioned about changing Super Bowl? Well, on these Excel spreadsheets, let's go all the way to the bottom sheet. It says modes. This is the modes that FAF uses. Commodity code is, the mode is 1, it's truck, and describes what that mode is. Again, very simple, pipeline, what's included in multiple modes, things of that nature. We go to sheet 2, which is the SCTG. Basically, the commodity code, the SCTG code, is represented in column A. Column B is the description for the SCTG. The NAICS code 1 and NAICS code 2, I've been trying to figure out how to do a crosswalk between NAICS and the SCTG. They're really like comparing apples to cars, because the SCTG is based on a commodity moving and the NAICS code is based on an industry type. So I've been looking at some transportation satellite account data, but I'm kind of done with that. But what I did is I did a summary called NAICS description. So to take the 43 different commodities that's in the FAF, I just put them into some broad 9 categories. Just to, hey, where's agriculture, where's mining, where's chemicals? Just something real quick for me to get to and use the data for certain types of things. I don't need to have all the commodity detail, but I want some gross commodity activity. So if we go to sheet 1, there's nothing there. But the reason I show that is the sheet 1 will show up in Tableau as an option because it's in the worksheet. So when you go back to Tableau, you'll see it's sheet 1, but there's nothing in sheet 1. Domestic origins. Domestic regions. This is the same whether it's a domestic origin or destination. The FAF code is column A. And column B is the state FIPS code. Now, everybody else in the world can use FIPS codes, but Tableau. So if you're doing anything with a county FIP or a state FIP, it will not recognize it as a geography field. I know it's a pain in the frickin' behind.
So you basically can't even have that in there.
You'll see all these workarounds that I have to do because the FIPS code.
Call Tableau up.
Yeah, trust me, I've got a long list of things that I've sent to them, and anyway, they're very responsive if you wait a day. It only takes a day or two before they get back to you on something. So anyway, so we have the FIPS code, which means I cannot do any geography on the FAF the way it is structured for 2 reasons. The FIPS code does not link, and the FAF codes do not link. So it's when you're trying to try to do maps on the FAF, they use so many different hierarchical structures that it's almost irrelevant. It's just what it is. Okay, so we have FAF region. This is what they described it as. We have the state. Now, state's important because that's how we're going to hook everything geographic in this data set together. The remainder of the state, which is part of this CMA, the type of region it is. This is all out of the Rate Analysis Framework worksheet summary. I put in there something called BEA zone. The reason being, as opposed to doing a sum of, Georgia with California, Nevada, Washington State, Oregon, I can just use the BEA zone and get Georgia with West. Or I can get Georgia with Northeast. It's a way to aggregate some regional flows. I don't have to have Georgia to Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, Massachusetts, the Yankee states, which are north of Maryland, north of Pennsylvania. Even though
Mid-Atlantic.
We can argue about where the north and south begin. And then the ITTS region, I could have done a group, but I just put a 1 or a 0 in there because there are sometimes I might want to do a query of just an ITTS state, trading with an ITTS state, and it's just easier for me to put it in here. We go to international regions. I know, we're going to get through this thing. We're going to take a break. International regions here is, whether it's Canada, Mexico, rest of Americas. These are again, the code is embedded in the FAF, but you have to give it some textual information. The FAF country regions, this is basically, I was trying to do a crosswalk between what country goes with what FAF area, just for myself. And then the trade flow, basically it's a lookup table saying, which flow is it, foreign inbound, domestic. I did not actually link this into the table, but it does show up. So if we close this out, do not save it, just close it out. And now we look at FAF 4 codes. Hey, just hit cancel. Just hit cancel. So we go back to the FAF 4 codes. We just click on the FAF 4 codes. No data connection. Just click on the box. Okay, now we look to see where all of the things are in the sheets. So we see, the trade flow, SCTG, whatever. Now if we click on the SCTG, just go to that column and highlight it. Don't click on anything. The SCTG in the gray area, in the box all the way to the left under Sheets. The box all the way to the left under Sheets. Go to the SCTG. And if you notice, there is a little box on the side. We talked about this earlier. You can just click on it as well. And that lets you view the data on that particular table. So again, just like we did with the NFL, this is a real quick way. Hey, what was that data element again? I can just look at it real quick and remind me what elements were in it, what elements were not. Again, it sorts it alphabetically, but that's okay. So basically another thing you can do is if you go back to, let's just go back to the FAF Tableau data. So we see the same data set. We can click on it, and it shows us all of the fields. And remember we talked about there's a lot of nulls. Well, it'll show up as a null value. Well, it's just the nature of the beast. So you can't have an import and export in the same trade pattern. So the idea is hit close. So when you're doing the FAF, or this data set, you have a lot of different fields. So what we're going to do now is, it's time to take a break. Okay, we'll take a 10-minute break here because when we get back,